6:47 a.m., August 1st, 1943. Benghazi Airfield, Libya. A B-24 Liberator named Wench rolls onto the runway, one aircraft among 178 heavy bombers preparing for takeoff. The target lies nearly 1,500 miles away, deep inside Romania. The oil refineries at Ploiești, facilities supplying nearly 30% of Nazi Germany's fuel. Intelligence estimates predict that by the end of the day, half of these crews will not return. The mission is called Operation Tidal Wave. It requires flying at altitudes between 50 and 500 feet, treetop level, low enough for delayed fuse bombs to penetrate refinery structures before detonating. The lead aircraft is flown by Lieutenant Colonel Addison Baker, 36 years old, commander of the 93rd Bomb Group. In the co-pilot seat is Major John Gerstad, 25. He has already completed his required missions. He volunteered to fly one more. As the formation enters Romanian airspace, something goes wrong. A single navigational error sends the main force off course. Within seconds, Baker must choose: follow the formation towards safety or break away and fly directly into the most heavily defended target in Europe. 45 seconds later, his aircraft will be on fire. And at that moment, another option will still exist. They could land and survive. Warning comes quickly in Benghazi during the summer of 1943. North African sunlight cuts across a cracked concrete runway where desert sand has settled into thin streaks shaped by the wind. There are no ceremonies, no speeches, only the heavy mechanical sound of Pratt & Whitney R1830 engines starting in sequence. It is 6:47 a.m., August 1st, 1943. At this airfield, 178 B-24 Liberators of the United States Army Air Forces are preparing for departure. This is not a routine bombing mission. There are no fighter escorts, no high-altitude approach, no standoff release. The operation has a name: Operation Tidal Wave. From the moment it is approved, planners accept that the mission may fail or end in catastrophe. The target lies at Ploiești, Romania. Not a large city, but a critical industrial hub within Germany's war economy. 7 major oil refineries dominate the area, including Astro Romana, Unirea Orion, Columbia Aquila, Steaua Română. Before the war, these facilities produced nearly 12 million barrels of refined petroleum per year, accounting for roughly 30 to 35% of German fuel supply in 1943. As long as Ploiești operates, German tanks continue advancing on the Eastern Front. The Luftwaffe maintains sortie rates. U-boats remain active across the Atlantic. Destroying Ploiești will not end the war, but it will slow it, day by day, operation by operation. That calculation convinces Washington to approve a plan without precedent. Previous bombing raids against Ploiești have failed. High-altitude attacks scatter bombs too widely. Surface damage is repaired quickly. Critical refinery equipment remains intact. Only one option remains: fly low, extremely low. The plan requires the entire force to fly at 50 to 500 feet, use terrain masking to evade radar, drop delayed fuse bombs, allowing penetration before detonation. At this altitude, there is no margin for error. During training in Libya, 47 B-24s are destroyed. Pilots misjudge altitude over water. Aircraft strike hillsides during low-level runs. Collisions occur inside tight formations. Many crews die before ever encountering enemy fire. Commanders know these numbers. They do not revise the plan. The final operational estimate states clearly: up to 90 aircraft lost, approximately 900 airmen, a projected casualty rate of 50%. The figures are accepted without objection. For planners, the losses are considered operationally acceptable. The B-24 named Wench is assigned to lead the 93rd Bomb Group. At the controls is Lieutenant Colonel Addison Baker, age 36. Baker is not reckless. He has 11 months of combat experience and understands survival probabilities in low-level operations. He participates directly in mission planning and knows the route valley by valley, turn by turn. He understands one fact clearly: the lead aircraft has the lowest chance of survival. He accepts the assignment. In the co-pilot seat sits Major John Gerstad, age 25. 3 weeks earlier, Gerstad completed his required 25 combat missions. By regulation, he could return home. He volunteers to fly again, not for recognition, not for promotion, but because he serves as the group's operations officer. Outside of Baker himself, Gerstad understands the mission plan better than anyone else in the cockpit. At 7 a.m., engines roar across Benghazi. 178 B-24s lift into the sky, forming over the Mediterranean at 19,000 feet, stretching miles across open water. Participating units include 93rd Bomb Group, 44th Bomb Group, 98th Bomb Group, 376th Bomb Group, 389th Bomb Group. 5 groups, 1 target, 1 synchronized attack time, 9:30 a.m., Romania local time. 3 hours into the flight, disaster strikes before enemy contact. A B-24 carrying the mission's lead navigator suffers engine failure over the Mediterranean. The crew attempts a controlled water landing at high speed. The aircraft impacts the sea at over 140 miles per hour. There are no survivors. In seconds, the operation loses its navigational backbone. No backup navigator holds the complete route. Baker notices immediately that the formation continues north without correction. The formation crosses Greece and descends to 500 feet over Yugoslavia. At this height, pilots can see individual trees, watch livestock scatter, feel heat rising from the ground. German radar cannot track them. But at this altitude, a single mistake sends an aircraft into a hillside. Fuel consumption rises sharply. Navigation errors become fatal. Baker checks his instruments. Fuel remains within limits. Engines run steady. Behind him, 17 B-24s of the 93rd maintain tight formation. At 9:05 a.m., the force reaches the initial point, the final navigation marker before turning toward Ploiesti. Every group must identify terrain features and follow assigned valleys precisely. The lead formation turns in the wrong direction. They head toward Bucharest. At low altitude, the error is subtle but catastrophic. Bucharest lies 30 miles southeast of Ploiesti. Over 100 aircraft are now flying away from the target. Baker recognizes the mistake instantly. If he follows, the mission fails. Baker attempts radio contact. But as the formation enters Romania, German jamming begins. Radio frequencies fill with static. No response comes from mission command. Radio discipline has been strict throughout the flight. This moment breaks protocol. Still no reply. Baker faces 2 options. Follow the main formation, avoid concentrated fire, but strike nothing of value. Or break away, leading 18 B-24s directly into the most heavily defended target in Europe. The original plan called for 94 aircraft attacking simultaneously. Now there are 18. Baker has seconds. He banks Hell's Wench hard to the left. Every aircraft of the 93rd follows. From that moment, their fate is sealed. The instant Hell's Wench banks left, the mission changes shape. Ahead of Baker, there is no longer the dense mass of nearly 100 bombers. No overlapping fields of fire. No saturation effect to overwhelm defenses. Over Romania, there are now only 18 B-24s. Altitude, 400 to 500 feet. Airspeed, 210 miles per hour. Heading directly toward Ploiești, a formation too small for a target too large. The separation does not go unnoticed. Ground observers and radar stations quickly confirm a small group, flying low, approaching from the south. Within minutes, the order is issued across the Ploiești defense network. Concentrate all available fire on this group. There is no need to disperse, no need to wait. If the lead element is destroyed, the rest will collapse on its own. From the cockpit of Hell's Wench, Ploiești emerges through industrial haze. This is not a single target, it is a continuous industrial complex. Miles of pipelines, cracking towers rising hundreds of feet, storage tanks packed tightly together, smokestacks pouring black exhaust into the sky. Above it all hang barrage balloons, hundreds of them. The balloons themselves do not explode. The danger hangs beneath them. From each balloon trails a steel cable anchored to the ground. Each cable is designed to snag a wing, tear aluminum skin, rip engines from mounts, send aircraft into immediate loss of control. At 400 feet, there is almost no vertical space to maneuver. No training diagram can convey what it means to fly directly into a forest of steel. At 9:17 a.m., Hell's Wench crosses into the Ploiești defensive perimeter, altitude 470 feet. Within range, over 230 anti-aircraft guns, heavy 88mm batteries, rapid-fire 20mm cannons, machine guns mounted on rooftops and towers. Everything is ready. There is no surprise left. The first 88mm shell detonates less than 200 feet ahead of Hell's Wench. There is no warning whine, only an orange flash and thick black smoke. The shock wave slams into the aircraft. Then the sky erupts. The barrage does not come in waves. It comes all at once. Explosions bloom across the airspace. Tracer fire intersects in red lines. Visibility collapses to less than 100 feet. Pilots are no longer navigating air. They are forcing aircraft through a volume actively trying to tear them apart. Baker flies by instinct, not calculation. A steel cable appears ahead of the nose. It reflects no light. It simply materializes out of smoke. Baker snaps the controls left. The right wing misses the cable by less than 20 feet. Another cable appears on the opposite side. He rolls back. There is no safe path, only reactions measured in fractions of a second. Behind Hell's Wench, the remaining 17 B-24s hold formation. They see the fire surrounding the lead aircraft, the abrupt evasive movements, the dense flak bursts. No one breaks away. At this altitude, separation is often fatal. An anti-aircraft shell detonates beneath Hell's Wench. The blast lifts the aircraft nearly 30 feet. Fragments punch through. The lower fuselage, hydraulic lines, fuel tanks, warning lights ignite across the panel. Fuel pressure drops in engine 3. Oil temperature spikes in engine 1. The aircraft still responds, but it is now damaged. Distance to Astro Romana, less than 2 miles. Time remaining, under 3 minutes. Baker does not alter course. Turning away now offers no safety, only delay. Baker selects a gap between 2 cables. Estimated clearance, 40 feet on each side. Enough, he commits. The aircraft jolts violently. Not flak, cable contact. A steel wire unseen through smoke scrapes along the right wing's leading edge, tearing aluminum, then hooks onto the outboard engine nacelle. The balloon above pulls taut. Hell's Wench is now dragging a barrage balloon. The balloon weighs nearly 300 pounds, creating massive drag on the right wing. The aircraft yaws sharply. Baker fights the controls to hold heading. Before balance is restored, another 88mm shell strikes the root of the right wing. The shell punches through the fuel tank. Aviation gasoline sprays into the engine compartment. Hot metal, electrical sparks, fuel vapor. Ignition is instantaneous. Flames erupt from the right wing and race toward the fuselage. Hell's Wench is on fire. Baker looks down. Below lies a flat, open field, ideal for an emergency landing. At this altitude, the crew could land, or bail out, and survive. Distance to target, less than 1 mile. Time, 60 seconds. Baker knows that. If he lands, the 17 aircraft behind him will follow. The 93rd Bomb Group will abort. The mission fails completely. He also knows the aircraft is burning. Structural integrity is deteriorating. Every second reduces survival odds. There is no discussion. Gerstad looks at Baker. He does not reach for the bailout handle. He does not suggest landing. Instead, he checks the bomb panel. Delayed fuses are armed. The bomb bay is ready. That action is enough. As Hell's Wench continues forward, flames engulf most of the right wing. Metal changes color under heat. Rivets begin to fail, yet the aircraft still produces lift. Ahead, Astro Romana fills the windshield. From this moment on, everything behind them no longer matters. In training manuals, fire is treated as a technical malfunction, a warning light, a checklist, a sequence of corrective actions. In combat, fire does not follow procedures. When the right-wing fuel tank is ruptured, high-pressure aviation gasoline sprays directly into the engine compartment. It meets superheated metal and exposed electrical systems. Ignition occurs in less than a second. The fire does not rise upward. It wraps around the wing, crawls along aluminum skin, and pours into enclosed spaces where heat cannot escape. Inside the B-24's wing are primary load-bearing spars, fuel lines, hydraulic systems, Electrical wiring. Temperature climbs beyond design limits. Rivets expand unevenly. Aluminum panels warp. Paint blisters and peels, exposing metal glowing dull red. The wing still produces lift, but its structural strength is collapsing second by second. Baker does not turn to look at the flames. His eyes remain on airspeed, altitude, heading. Gerstad reads the remaining instruments. Oil pressure, cylinder temperature, electrical load. Engine 3 begins losing fuel pressure. Engine 1 runs hot. None fail instantly. They degrade slowly. Smoke does not drift in gently. It forces itself through gaps created as heat distorts the airframe. The smell is a mix of burning fuel, heated metal, and rubber insulation. Visibility drops rapidly. Oxygen masks come down. Oxygen keeps them conscious. It does nothing to reduce the heat. Cockpit temperature climbs past 140 degrees Fahrenheit. No order is given to abort. No one asks the question. In this environment, every spoken word becomes a tactical choice. No one chooses to break the course. The bomb bay doors were opened before the aircraft was hit. Air rushes through the lower fuselage, carrying smoke and fragments of hot metal. Inside hang 4,000 pounds of delayed fuse bombs. If fire reaches this compartment, the aircraft will cease to exist instantly. Bombardier John McCormick lies prone in the glass nose. Through the Norden bomb site, he sees cracking towers, pipeline networks, storage tanks. The target is fully visible. He does not look at the flames. He does not look back. He looks only at the release point. Engineer James Merritt moves between panels. He sees rising temperatures, falling pressures, warning lights multiplying. He does not wait for orders. He transfers fuel from ruptured tanks, adjusts mixture settings, by seconds, sometimes only fractions of seconds. Each adjustment delays failure, never stops it. Outside, the barrage does not ease. German gunners focus on Hell's Wench. The logic is simple. If the lead aircraft falls, the formation behind it loses reference and cohesion. Shells detonate continuously around the fuselage. One fragment tears through the left horizontal stabilizer. The aircraft yaws violently. Baker counters using rudder and aileron together, holding the nose steady. Low-level bombing demands steady heading, minimal vibration, constant speed. Any deviation risks a missed target. Bombs failing to penetrate. The mission collapsing. Hell's Wench is burning, damaged, under constant fire. And still it must fly straight. Distance to target, less than 500 meters. Cracking towers rise more than 300 feet ahead. Baker levels the wings precisely. Gerstad remains seated. No one moves. Flames reach the fuselage skin. Cockpit windows begin to crack under thermal stress. Paint bubbles and peels. Baker's gloves insulate his hands only partially. The control yoke burns through them. He does not release it. McCormick aligns the sight. He calculates wind, speed, altitude. The solution converges. He presses the release. 4,000 pounds of bombs leave the aircraft. Hell's Wench surges upward as the load drops away. Baker pulls back, attempting to gain altitude before detonation. The right wing responds sluggishly. Delayed fuse bombs do not explode immediately. They penetrate refinery structures. After 18 seconds, the first detonation occurs. A cracking tower disintegrates from within. The blast wave slams into the burning B-24 like a solid wall. Hell's Wench remains dangerously close. The aircraft is thrown sideways, then corrected. Another explosion follows, then another. The refinery collapses in sequence. Fireballs rise hundreds of feet. From a tactical standpoint, the target is destroyed. The bombs hit accurately. The mission objective is achieved. From a survival standpoint, nothing has improved. The following aircraft break formation immediately after bomb release. Each pilot searches for an escape path. One B-24 strikes a balloon cable at full speed. Its wing is torn off. It crashes into a fuel tank. Another aircraft takes a direct 88mm hit. Bombs detonate in the bay. The bomber vanishes in a fireball. No parachutes open. Baker manages to climb to 800 feet. The fire continues. Smoke thickens. Visibility approaches zero. Engine 3 fails completely. Engine 4 loses oil pressure. Only one engine remains fully functional. At this altitude, the crew could bail out. The aircraft is damaged but still controllable. Survival remains possible. No one leaves his position. No one aboard is thinking in terms of heroism. Each man remains where he is because leaving early destabilizes the aircraft. Control must be maintained. Someone must still fly. Their actions are procedural, not symbolic. Fire spreads into the central fuselage. Primary load-bearing structures weaken. Time is no longer measured in minutes, it is measured in seconds. And ahead lies only open Romanian airspace. As Hell's Wench clears the northern edge of the Astro-Romana complex, the sky behind it turns black. Delayed explosions continue to ripple through the refinery. Cracking towers collapse inward. Pipelines rupture. Fires spread from one installation to the next. From a tactical standpoint, the target has been destroyed. From a survival standpoint, the most dangerous phase has just begun. Anti-aircraft fire diminishes as the aircraft moves away from the city, not because danger has passed, but because German gunners no longer need to shoot. The bomber is burning, losing altitude, and slowing. In their assessment, it will fall on its own. The guns shift to other targets still escaping Ploiești. At approximately 800 feet, Baker reassesses. Engine 3 failed. Engine 4 oil pressure collapsing. Engine 1 overheating, fire risk imminent. Engine 2 operating under extreme load. The right wing is engulfed in flame. Hydraulic response is delayed. Control surfaces react sluggishly. The aircraft remains airborne only because it has not yet finished breaking apart. At this altitude, the crew can still bail out. Parachutes would deploy. Survival is likely. Capture would follow. From a statistical standpoint, this is the highest survival probability remaining. Everyone on board understands this. 3 factors keep them inside the aircraft. First, altitude is still marginal. A rapid loss of control would kill anyone attempting to exit. Second, fire and smoke have crippled internal communication. Baker cannot issue a coordinated bailout order. Third, Baker believes altitude can still be gained. If they climb higher, bailout might occur closer to Yugoslavia, where partisan forces operate and downed airmen are sometimes rescued. Baker pulls back on the control yoke. Hell's Wench climbs slowly. 900 feet, 1,000, 1,200. Every additional 100 feet increases parachute effectiveness and glide distance. But each second spent climbing allows fire to penetrate deeper into the structure. Flames breach the central fuselage. Electrical systems short out. Radio goes silent. Intercom fails completely. Baker can no longer communicate with the crew. From this point forward, every man must decide alone. Flight engineer James Merritt steps into the cockpit doorway. He sees Baker and Gerstad holding the aircraft together. Flames creeping toward the cockpit. Structural distortion from heat. He understands what Baker is attempting. Merritt returns to his station. He does not bail out. He adjusts fuel mixtures, reroutes remaining fuel, and keeps engine 2 running a few moments longer. Those moments matter. In the rear sections, top turret gunner, waist gunners, tail gunner. None abandon their positions. Smoke limits movement. Escape routes are obscured. Discipline and instinct keep them where they are. No fighters appear. There is no need. At approximately 1,500 feet, engine 4 seizes. The propeller windmills, creating massive drag. Baker compensates with rudder input. Only 2 engines remain, neither reliable. Fire has reached the primary load-bearing spar of the right wing. Metal softens under heat. Aerodynamic stress causes the wing to bend upward. Rivets fail audibly. When the wing goes, the aircraft will roll instantly. There will be no time to escape. Baker continues the climb. Altitude reaches 1,700 feet. The Yugoslav border lies roughly 40 kilometers ahead. Calculations are unforgiving. Insufficient fuel, insufficient thrust, insufficient time. Hell's Wench will not reach it. Engine 1 ignites internally. Oil catches fire inside the cowling. Flames erupt outward. Moments later, fire spreads to engine 2, the last engine producing full power. Baker watches the final margin disappear. He has perhaps 90 seconds before total power loss. The aircraft reaches approximately 1,900 feet. Airspeed decays rapidly. Climb rate approaches 0. This is the absolute ceiling. At this height, bailout might still be possible if the aircraft holds together, but no order can be given. And then engine 2 stops. No explosion, no shudder. It simply dies. Hell's Wench starts losing altitude. 100 feet per minute, then 200. The descent accelerates. Baker has no remaining options. At roughly 1,800 feet, the right wing fails. More than 25 feet of wing, along with 2 engines and fuel tanks, tear away from the fuselage in a single moment. The aircraft rolls inverted within seconds. Centrifugal force pins the crew against the airframe. Escape hatches are now above them. No one can reach them. The aircraft enters an uncontrollable spin. Ammunition for the .50 caliber guns begins to cook off. Rounds detonate randomly. Fire consumes the interior. Baker's hands remain on the controls. Gerstad stays strapped into the co-pilot's seat. They understand what is happening. At 300 feet, the nose points nearly straight down. Airspeed exceeds 300 miles per hour. There is no prolonged suffering. At 9:47 a.m., Hell's Wench strikes an open field in Romania. Remaining fuel detonates on impact. The aircraft disintegrates completely. All 10 crew members are killed instantly. Romanian authorities reach the crash site within the hour. The remains are recovered and identified by dog tags. The crew is buried locally, graves marked with wooden crosses. The mission concludes at 10:32 a.m. 178 B-24S depart Benghazi. 125 return, 53 aircraft lost, 310 airmen killed, 54 captured, 108 wounded. It is the costliest air mission in U.S. Army Air Force's history to that point. Ploiesti's refineries suffer catastrophic damage. Production drops from 12 million barrels annually to fewer than 4 million. Facilities remain offline for months. Consequences follow quickly. Luftwaffe sortie rates decline. Panzer units face fuel shortages. U-boats reduce patrol time. Some historians estimate the campaign shortens the war in Europe by approximately 3 months. The results are real. So are the losses. 53 aircraft, hundreds of lives. No equation balances them. 6 months later, Medal of Honor citations are issued. Lieutenant Colonel Addison Baker receives the award posthumously. Major John Gerstad receives it as well. The citations note that both men continued the mission despite the opportunity to land safely, led their formation through the heaviest defenses in Europe, and completed the attack at the cost of their lives. The remaining 8 crew members received no individual medals. Their names appear on casualty lists. They perform their duties to the end. This is not a story about heroism. It is a story about decisions made under constraint, systems that demand sacrifice, and choices with no safe outcome. The war continued. For the 10 men aboard Hell's Wench, it ended over Romania on the morning of August 1st, 1943.